Usamos estampillas.
You are now tuned in to your number one radio station. Violent people. Radio.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to episode 31 of Violent People Radio. I am one of your hosts, Sam Damasio. With me, per usual, Dan Rice. Dan, how you doing?
Happy New Year, Sam. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for asking. And Pat.
Hey, what's up?
And last but not least, Chris.
Yeah, sorry we're starting a little late. I was geocaching all night, baby. Just geocaching all the time in the year of our Lord 2025. That's the year it is, and that's what we're doing is geocaching. Everyone's doing it. And then we're going to a coffee shop and staying until exactly close, and then taking pictures with the barista who doesn't want to kill himself or other people.
For those not in the know, what is geocaching?
I honestly barely know. Apparently, Dan did it for some time. So, Dan,
I was
please
about to say,
explain.
at least Dan has experience from 20 years ago where he was constantly doing it, he told us. So, Dan, can you explain what it is? You're an expert.
Me and my friends spent like 1 month being obsessed with it. It's like there's websites at this time you would go to, and they would have coordinates, and you go to them, and somewhere in those coordinates would be like up in a tree there'd be a little lockbox, or buried underground there would be a shoebox, and inside of it was trash. It was basically trash that we were all searching for. Because I remember we did it for a few weeks, and then someone was like, "What's the best thing you've ever found?" And we all were looking at each other, and we're like, one time there was a deck of playing cards, and that was that was universally, we all agreed that was our best find. And then we had to leave stuff, but we were all, 14, 15 years old maybe. So we're leaving junk in as well. We don't have money to leave anything nice in there. So it's just like we take some trash and we leave some trash. And I honestly didn't think anyone was ever else doing it. There was never that many people doing it, much less now. Yeah, I saw like some of the stuff that I got a glimpse. I was trying to do work and close my cafe in a timely manner. That did not happen. But it basically looked like all of these grown adults got a bunch of things that you would get in a dentist's office treasure chest. Yes. Yep. Yo-yos are big, bouncy ball, like that was exactly the kind of stuff I remember finding. And it's like we were so young. Made me miserable tonight. We were so young, so I remember parents would have to drive us because there weren't that many locations that were walkable for, early teens. I remember one time mom driving us, 25 minutes. She's like, "What did you guys find?" And we're like, "An empty box."
I want to cycle back around to how Chris apologized for the show starting late when people listen to it on an on-demand basis. I think to avoid making Chris a liar, we have to put 15 minutes of silence at the start of the episode file.
I think Dan should wait till about noon tomorrow to release it.
Yeah, a moment, 15 minutes of silence for all of the empty geocache boxes. The one time in the past you guys asked me to wait and not publish it immediately, I completely forgot the podcast existed, so that was not a great idea.
I was like, "Hey Dan, where the fuck is it?"
I think you said, "Hey Dan, what's going on?" was something you, and I was like, "What is going on?"
Oh, I'm just chilling.
Yeah, I'm like, not much, man.
Not much. Thanks for asking.
What's up with you?
Oh,
My God. All right. Well, I feel informed on this episode, and I hope all of our listeners do as well. We are currently scheduling the first Violent People geocaching event. So stay tuned for that. Probably happening in June of 2025, which is the year we're currently in when we're recording and when we're releasing. It's been 2 weeks since it's been 3 weeks since we've all been on, 2 weeks since we had an episode. How was everyone's holidays?
Good.
Good. Love it.
Yeah, I went home, went back to the great state of Michigan, and spent some time with family, and also watched like 20 movies from this year that were in my backlog. So very productive.
These are DVDs that you pick up at the thrift store, correct?
Yeah, the thrift store DVD of Kneecap.
Exactly.
The 2024 film Kneecap. There's a lot of DVDs of that out there. It's on Netflix, but it's just better to watch the DVD.
Yeah.
You got to support physical media.
Does it have any special features? Because I have the VHS and I wasn't going to upgrade unless there was like director's commentary.
There's trailers.
All right.
Perfect.
There's a stills gallery.
Oh man. That sounds like a lovely holiday. Dan, what did you do? You have some interesting picks in our Discord. Are you home or have you not been home this entire time?
No, I've been home mostly.
Okay.
Yeah. We did a bunch of Christmases down here. We do it with some of my older family members, like my aunts and cousins, and then we did it with my sister and her kids. We all live here, and then for New Year's Eve we went to Columbus, which is, still only just 2 hours away, and we did a Columbus Blue Jackets game.
Great stuff. How was the food? You said food picks from.
We splurged and we went to the Diamond Sellers Club, which is like you get unlimited beer and wine and then unlimited food. And it starts out for the first half of the game, you get like the fancier foods. There was like a crab carbonara, a smoked salmon nachos, and like braised beef over some mashed potatoes. And it was really, really good. And I ate a sick amount. And then halfway through the second period, they switch it out and you get like your standard. You get buffalo wings and nachos and hot dogs, and it's
so
cool.
You're more of a second half guy.
Well, no, because I went really, really hard on the beef, like too hard. Because every time I stand up to go to the bathroom or to see someone or to get a drink, it's like it's wasteful not to grab another plate of beef, is my mind. So I just kept grabbing plates of beef until I was in a lot of pain. But the Blue Jackets won in a shootout. I've never seen a shootout live before. And then they did fireworks inside afterwards. So it was honestly the best hockey game I've ever been to. We got a lot of fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. Pat, do anything fun, exciting?
I've been sick as a dog for the past week. I had a very nice Christmas morning. Was with family. My two little nieces and my nephew were both being adorable. But then by Christmas afternoon, I was congested and killer headache, et cetera, et cetera. I've spent the past week in various states of wanting to drown in my own mucus.
That doesn't sound great.
Yeah, I'm balancing out the cosmic scale of the other co-hosts having a great week and wonderful lives and so on. And I'm just, I got her tuberculosis.
I really appreciate that. I didn't realize that was going on, but thanks.
Yeah, no worries.
I was shit in blood a couple weeks back. Took one for the team. And now I guess it's your turn. So Dan, you're up next.
I just pulled up my calendar. I'm worried it's a week now.
You got any big plans?
I mean, not particularly, but I don't want to
Cancel
shed
'em.
blood.
Cancel them.
Well, I haven't
All
been
right.
shitting blood. I can at least say that much. But you can
That's a
you can
win.
hear like this is how congested I sound right now. This is like the low end of how it's been this past week.
This is
There
really
were days
lame.
where I just stayed in bed and I just was like gurgling.
What's
Well,
lame,
this is
Dan?
really lame, but like one of the things I guess I got it. I mean, we did as a family was for Christmas is we took an old Fire TV and we mounted it on the wall in the kitchen and we hooked up this thing called Mango Display on the Fire at store or whatever. And so it has our Google Calendar just as like a thing you can see at all times. And I'm really excited by it because everyone can just go on their phone and they update the Google Calendar. It updates on the TV that we can all see. And it's game changing.
I tried to pitch my wife on that, but I was like, also, unfortunately, I need the TV to be really big and obnoxious. And that's where we kind of had a breakdown.
Ours is
of that
32
with
inches.
that.
We didn't go too big.
I'm thinking 40. That seems right. All right. Well, I guess we can talk about what we've been watching. Dan, how about you kick us off here?
Okay. Don't yell at me, Sam. But I watched an entire AIW show.
That's- Mhm.
It's a
That's
thing
not
I
good.
did. I'm still paying for the YouTube subscription. Still supporting my
God.
boys.
Johnny Thorne needs the business.
And I like to pull up, I watched it and I have some notes, but I'm like, let me pull up the cage match. And if you believe cage match, on December 28th, AIW held Terror at the Tadmor at the Tadmor Shrine in Akron, Ohio. And the only match that took place was Matthew Justice versus Price.
So things are going really well for AIW. It sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, people are really into it. I will have you know more matches than that took place.
It also lists Paul London. It only lists
that is funny.
one
You're
match,
right.
but in all workers, it also lists Paul London.
Someone started to do this, and they're like, I'm not typing any more of this. Which is funny.
John Thorne's been busy.
Because it is one of the best AIW shows I've seen in quite a while, which is maybe damning with faint praise. But John Wayne Murdoch versus Isaiah Broner. It seems like John Wayne Murdoch is just like fully, if he's not doing a death match, he just is a full like comedy stooge.
Yeah.
Which
There was a match I saw him in recently. I think it was him versus Manders, where they were still kind of doing a hardcore match, but he straight up just did the MacGruber thing of like, "I'll suck your dick."
Oh.
Like, he was begging off, and he was like on his knees, like, "Manders, if you stop beating me up, I will suck your dick." And then he bit him on the dick. So.
I did
paid
see
off.
that. See, last month it was him versus Tom Lawler, and that like Tom Lawler really went into the comedy shit too, and it did not work. But this was like him doing the comedy bit and Broner just killing him, and so that worked for me. It was great. The next match was a 4-way with doesn't really matter, but Derek Direction, Shelby Weiler, Dex Royal, and then the aforementioned Paul London. This was awful, but and as Paul London's doing his entrance, he's doing the Elvis thing. Steve Corino is looking at his phone, clearly not giving a shit about the AEW show happening around him. And until he looks up and sees it's Paul London, and he just looks so happy. And he was like, "Oh, it's Paul London!" Like, "Oh, that's great." And that's how I feel like everyone feels about Paul London. We just see him, we're like, "Oh, hey, cool." Match was not good. Then it was Matt Justice versus Alec Price, the only match that happened. Also not good. But then we get to Infinity and Beyond, Bang and Matthews, Tyler Jordan, and Trey Lamar in a 3-way tag team match, and it fucking ruled. I know I'm always on here talking about Infinity and Beyond, but they made this match. They are the glue in this match. They're probably in it for 80%. They're one of the two legal teams. And it was a great time. And then we had Tom Lawler versus Sam Holloway, which also fucking rocked. Most of this match is just them chopping and punching each other. Like real simple stuff, and then it kind of goes into a bigger finishing stretch, but really, really good stuff from Sam Holloway and Tom Lawler. Then Wes Barkley versus Tyson Riggs. If you're not familiar with Tyson Riggs, his whole thing is that he kicks. He's a Taekwondo karate guy. And it feels like he chose that as a gimmick before he was a wrestler, because like his kicks are really terrible. And like that is the only
So
thing
no
he
Lewis
does.
Linden is what you're telling me.
No. And like I really feel like he's like, maybe he is in real life. Maybe he has a legit background. I don't know. So he's like, I have to do this. But his kicks are so bad, and he throws so many of them.
Maybe he knows if he throws any harder kicks, he will kill the opponent.
Well, it really cracks me up because I actually, Matt Wadsworth, I think, is a pretty good announcer as far as any announcers go. But he will call some of them as misses and some of them as hitting, and it's all the same. And it just seems like he decides, he missed that one, and the next one he's like, oh, he got him on that one. I'm like, did he?
And was the you said it was Wes Barkley was the other guy? Who was the other guy?
Yeah, Wes Barkley, yeah.
Yeah, was he selling all the misses too? Like, was it being called as a miss, and he's still
he sold every single.
He's like, oh my god!
Every time that Tyson moved his leg, Wes Barkley was selling. Which I think wrestlers sometimes think they're helping the guy out, but it's just, if it doesn't come close to you, don't sell it. Seems easy. That reminds me, during the Tom Lawler Sam Holloway match, I'm gotta be 90% sure this wasn't what they wanted to happen. Lawler charges Sam in the corner. Sam goes to like leapfrog over him, but kind of just gives him like in a midair like Bronco Buster, like smashes his dick in Lawler's face. And whether it was selling or whether it's how both guys feel, they laid on the mat for a little bit. Lawler holding his head and Holloway holding his dick. And it felt, I'm like, all right, that wasn't what they wanted to happen, but they both sold it and it looked cool. I walked out of the room for PME versus Latino's Most Wanted, and it was over when I came back, and that felt like fate telling me, don't rewind the tape there. But the main event, I'm going to ask Pat, I'm going to ask you to watch it. It's Dominic Garrini versus Chuck Stone.
Jesus Christ.
I know. But
do you, Dan?
It's basically AIW doing a Cage of Death. They have a ring set up with another ring right next to it, and the main ring has 3/4 of a cage, and then the other canvas set up next to it has like no rope barbed wire side. There's glass panes everywhere. There's light tubes. There's like the spider web barbed wire boxes on the outside. And
I'm guessing this was in front of a crowd of what, like 75 people?
I mean, they draw pretty well. I would say there's 175 people. Okay,
so more than Cage of Death.
Yeah. It was lit about as well as Cage of Death, but it was too long. But but the AIW fans loved it, and I get it because this is not like an AIW match. Like they were really leaning into the deathmatch part of it. There's some real sick shit. Like there's a box they made out of like 2x4s, and Dominic Garrini goes through it, and there's glass on top, but he goes through it, and then the box doesn't break. His head just smacks the wood and then goes underneath and smacks the ground right underneath it. And just lots of disgusting shit like that. Like Dom looked worse for wear after, and is the only Chuck Stone match I ever think that anyone should watch, and not everyone, but definitely you, Pat, after you went through all the Cage of Deaths. I kind of want to get your opinion on where it would fall.
Right. Speaking of, though, anyone who wants to force my hand as far as making me watch something and talk about it on VPR, if you send 20 blurbs for the VP 2010s to Sam, if you send 20, at least 20. I mean, if you do 40, I'm not doing 2 matches. But you can choose a match, and I will suffer through it and try to engage these guys in conversation about it.
Well, there you go. I'm going to do at least 20 verbs. So blurbs. Can't speak. So I will go ahead and maybe I'll also send you a login so you can watch that easier.
Everyone's just going to send me like the fucking 75-minute Omega versus Okada thing, and I'm just.
Oh yeah, you didn't put a time limit. They're going to give you
and
long
then
shit.
Suddenly I'm going to be like, sorry guys, I can't be on the show anymore.
I like it.
Can't stop.
But I will say, like, this was an AIW show that, for the most part, I mean, I think I said more good than bad, which is not always the case. They're still sticking with Chuck Stone as like a big deal, a huge. Ace, they have like this. They had this bullshit going on where he is I can't even think of the guy's name. I'm such a big AEW fan. His tag team partner has the Eric Taylor has like, their Money in the Bank version of Money in the Bank. So it's like he ran out to try to cash in, but Chuck Stone was getting ready for the main event, so he couldn't come out and help him. And so like it's just a very Chuck Stone heavy product, which is always going to have a real cap on how great it can be. But the thing that sucks too is if you go to the AIW Discord, which you shouldn't, even the people that hate Chuck Stone, like this match won them over, and that worries me because they were already pushing him so hard when there was a segment of fans that hated them. So it's like now that maybe they'll go even more Chuck Stone in their lives. Outside of that, if you guys will bear with me, I want to talk attorney. I watched the 2007 Dragon Cup from the semifinals on. How do you say Fujinami's...
Wait, how did you get here, Dan? I need to give me a little preamble. How did we arrive at this decision? This is something that you felt was, I want to do this.
The Dragon Cup?
Correct. Yeah.
It got uploaded by Puro Archive.
And that's all you need. That's the motivation you need.
It popped up and I said, all right, well, is it Muga?
I'm here.
Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, that's how I'm going to say it. It popped up. They didn't have the show with the opening round. They had the show with the semifinals and the finals. And the semifinals is Yutaka Yoshi versus Go Shiozaki and Fujinami versus Tajiri. And I was like, I'm into that. And it fucking rocked. Fujinami versus Tajiri is the best match of the 3 matches, and everyone should watch it. And I got really bummed because I had forgotten that Yoshi died this year, and I was like, "What is this guy up to? He looks so good in this show." And I was like, "He's not up to anything." But it's on Pure Archive. People should watch it. And that kind of sent me down like a Muga wormhole. Watching old Fujinami matches from the 90s, and it led me to currently the Snake Pit from Wigan has a YouTube channel. Well, I guess they've had the YouTube channel, but they started uploading a documentary because Josh is there training, and they have old school Muga matches from like random like Snake Pit guys who never wrestled anywhere else, like Chili Jenkins and Darren Marinosis, and like people that like don't have cage matches that you never see again, but they went over to Japan in '95 and just did like catch wrestling in the middle of a Fujinami show, and then came back to Great Britain and never did it again. And so what I'm saying is, watch Fujinami, watch anything from 1995 Muga. It was better than the 2007 stuff.
Thank you, Dan.
No problem. I mean, we had 2 weeks, but that'd been the majority of what I've watched because instead I like spend time with family and that bullshit.
No, that all makes sense. I still am upset that one of those things was an AIW show.
Yeah.
That seems like a waste of your time. And you know what? Maybe a waste of all of our time as well. But
no, I want to watch this Dominic Garrini versus Chuck. So I'm going to somehow find a way to watch it before next week.
I will say
I don't love the encouraging.
I will say that at least unlike I have like a real addiction to AIW, like at least there's like some kind of nostalgia there and like there's a reason rather than Pat's Game Changer Wrestling addiction.
Yeah, I mean I started doing it as a bit, and then the more people bagged on me for it, the more I was like, well, yeah, now I'm just going to keep the bit going. But it's January 1st, 2025. I'm free. I'm going to do a best matches of 2024 GCW post for the site. And then after that, I can forget all of it and go back to, watching, I don't know, whatever the fuck.
The first time I did heroin,
literally anything else.
I'll get really into ICW NHB this year instead, and I'll watch all of their show.
Are you one of those people that like need to have a project of some sort to really?
No, I'm actually the opposite. The more that this GCW project has gone on, the more I've actively resented doing it. There were times where I had to play catch up because I got burned out and like didn't watch anything for 2 weeks. But because it's GCW, taking 2 weeks off meant I missed like 5 shows. So
Now,
having to constantly play catch up, I would just be sitting there like, half-heartedly watching and like playing on my phone, being like, this fucking like, why am I doing this?
you say
But
you were
at
filled with
that point,
resentment. Who were you resenting?
I guess
You're-
myself.
Yeah.
But the at that point, I was too far in to like, it's kind of like, oh, I've only got like 20 shows left. If I quit now, what's the point?
So wait,
So
are you done, or do you have two shows left?
no, I am done. I've watched
Okay.
all of the 2024 shows.
I was gonna say I saw you talking about the Do or Die Rumble, which was yesterday.
Last night. Yep. I
Wow.
watched I got fully caught up before the New Year's Eve show.
Did they end the year on a Rumble?
Yes.
Yes. You should have
That's
committed to the bit because I bet that
insane.
show went past midnight, right?
Actually no.
Oh, okay. So they
ended,
should have stopped at exactly
it ended
midnight.
no, it ended like they ended the Rumble and then a bunch of the baby faces and MLJ and stuff were in the ring and they were giving out like little champagne flutes to the fans and then they did the countdown to the ball drop in the ring.
Hmm.
But that was the end of the show, so I was like, okay, I'm done. And I've decided 2025, I'm going to watch every show by Matt Tremont's H2O. That'll be the bit for this year.
Please don't.
Yeah, I mean, I
You're
feel like
free. Just let
we were
yourself
talking
go.
about staph infections earlier. I feel like just watching H2O is how you get a staph infection.
Unfortunately, I think it's too sterile for that.
I don't know, man.
These folks aren't bleeding enough for me in H2O. They need to ratchet it up. I mean, they're more likely to catch high cholesterol than
Well, I mean,
anything.
I'm looking at their last show, H2O Tag Team Championship, the Dropouts versus the South Street Survivors versus Chaos Control. I mean, do those names not just inspire you to love indie wrestling?
Truly. Truly.
Becca
Is there anything
versus Debbie
specific
Forza versus Kennedy
you
Hardcastle.
is there anything specific you want to talk about from what you've watched?
Oh,
I guess
if we're doing me, I just kind of got off on a ramble there. So I watched the New Year's Eve show from GCW, which had a 25-minute long Dr. Redacted versus Joey Janela match, which is probably
Woo!
the most fun you're going to have watching a 25-minute Joey Janela match all year.
I like how
me and
this
Dr.
is
Redacted were
immediately
just
feeling
doing,
like a high school essay where we've laid out the thesis that watching this much GCW is bad for your health. And then the first thing you hop into is 20-minute Joey Janela versus Dr.
I mean, people need to know what they're getting into. There was also
Right.
I have my notes over across the room. I'm grabbing them. There was also a John Wayne Murdoch versus Megan Bayne match, which was surprisingly good, considering that Megan Bayne is generally pretty bad, and John Wayne Murdoch is, John Wayne Murdoch. It was a surprisingly entertaining match. And then the main event Rumble that they did was a very, shockingly, because when I think GCW and Rumble, I think of like the clusterfuck, where it's like 99 minutes long. There are 70 people in it. They have to include Sexy Eddie's balls for some reason. And this was actually a very well-constructed Rumble. They brought in some surprise outside names like Wes Barkley, Frankie Picard, Sleepy Ed, Justin Finn, Charlie Tiger, all your favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the actual, pacing of it was, I mean, it couldn't really avoid the thing that happens in every Royal Rumble where you just get like 6 people in the ring just kind of lumbering around waiting for their cue. But they
Who
did a
is
lot of
Dan
little.
Perch?
Dan Perch is a referee.
He eliminated Tony Deppen, Wes Barkley, and Broski Jimmy
Yeah.
back to back to back.
Yeah, he came out and he's one of the referees in GCW. He is a skinny guy. And they just did a comedy bit where he just ran wild and was giving everyone stunners. He tried to do the Dusty Rhodes thing where, it's like punch, 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 and then he does the dance and then he does the elbow. He was doing that to Wes Barkley, and that's why I asked about Wes Barkley selling the missed kicks, because Perch was not coming anywhere fucking near Wes Barkley's body with those punches. And Wes was a trooper and still sold as if someone was punching him in the chest. So, nice thing. They also did Justin Finn eliminated Blake Christian in like a Maven Undertaker type.
Maven
And
Undertaker.
they had a giant stare down between Manders and Sean Holloway, or not Sam Holloway.
Oh, Sam Holloway.
Sam
Good
Holloway
wrestler.
and who?
Sam Holloway and Manders did like
Oh.
the big guys. It's like one big guy comes in and like clears out the ring, and then the next entrance is another big guy. Like, I'm not going to say people should go out of their way to watch a random New Year's Eve Rumble from GCW, but I did appreciate how they had actually put thought into how to make it like flow, as opposed to when you watch the clusterfuck and it's just like people going out there and fucking around. The final 4 was it was Joey Janela, Matt Tremont, Megan Bain, and Atticus Cogar.
Woo.
And it came down to Megan Bain versus Atticus Cogar as the last 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, long story short, Megan Bain now has like a Money in the Bank type thing. She can get any match she wants within 2025.
And that's a threat.
It seems
That
like
is it.
she already can get any match she wants, basically.
Yeah. Well, now the other thing they announced for Hammerstein. I can't believe I led with the matches. The craziest fucking thing on this show was Are you guys familiar with the ongoing Charles Mason GCW?
Vaguely.
0%.
Okay, it is fucking bonkers. It is like they're trying to make episodes of Dexter. So Charles Mason, his gimmick is that he's Kendall Roy from Succession. And he's in a stable with Perro and Richard Holiday, and they're like the evil rich gay guys or something. And at the anniversary show in August, they did a match, and at the end, Richard Holiday brings out the cops, and they arrest Charles Mason for murder. And the cops like show like they've got like a knife in like a fucking Ziploc bag that they're saying Charles Mason uses to kill homeless people. I'm not really exaggerating. This is all stuff that's in the angle. So then by November, somehow Charles Mason has already, his trial has already happened and he's been found not guilty by way of insanity. And they showed a vignette of him like escaping custody and killing 2 guys to, escape the DOC. So at that point, he could come back and attack Richard Holiday and Perro. Now at this show, they show a video vignette of a night vision camera going through Perro's house and wandering through, and then we watch Perro in bed for a while, and then the camera pans over to his husband, who wakes up and a gloved hand grabs him on the mouth. And this is, like we don't know what happens to Perro's husband, but Perro's still coming out to do his match regardless. So, that's wrestling for you. Perro comes out for his match against Charles Mason, and what we are supposed to think is Charles Mason comes out wearing a mask and handcuffed for some reason. So Perro leaves the ring and just beats the shit out of this guy, gives him a pile driver on the floor, all this stuff, pulls the mask off of him, And to quote Richard Holiday gets on the mic and says, "Pero, that's your fucking husband." So Charles Mason has once again outwitted them with his Dexter-like serial killer powers, and the payoff will be a steel cage match at Hammerstein. It is absolute nonsense.
I think
And
I
I'm
blacked
so
out a little
glad.
bit in the middle of that.
Yeah, no, it's the craziest angle I've seen an indie company try to do in a long time, because it involves like the FBI. The starting point is the FBI arrests a wrestler for murder,
So
and the ending point is a steel cage match.
So Charles Manson, in Pero's mind, comes out with a mask over his head and his
A
own
full
hands
ski mask
handcuffed,
and handcuffed.
and he thinks, "Jackpot! Now I got him."
Yeah, yeah. He just runs over and starts beating the shit out of him.
And his husband doesn't go, "Hey, it's me."
Yeah, exactly. You know, he pile drives him on the floor, and then he takes the mask off and sees it's his husband, and makes his big dopey face.
I love it.
They
Can I ask
also announced that. Oh, what's up?
Oh, I was gonna ask a question going back to the Rumble a little bit. Is Justin Finn good? Because I know he just had his debut against Janela, and now he has a match against Gage coming up. Like, I haven't seen him wrestle, but it's like
It's hard to tell in a
they must
Rumble.
like
I
him.
mean, he's all right.
All right.
He's a young guy. I don't have anything against him.
I mean, yeah, he's literally been wrestling like it's 40 days or something. Like he just started, but
Yeah,
he's only wrestling big
hard
names. It's very weird.
It's hard to measure him, because if you put almost anyone in a Janela match, and it just turns into a Janela match.
Yeah.
But the other match they announced is Tony Deppen, Kerry Morton, and Griffin McCoy versus Grim Reaper, Homicide, and a mystery New York OG. So we have our mystery for Hammerstein of who will team with Grim Reaper and Homicide. Will it be just Ruckus?
Do you think they have Loki, but they don't want to announce it?
I think they want us to think it will be Loki.
Hmm.
But we also have we still don't know who Josh Barnett's Bloodsport opponent is going to be.
Also Loki.
And so maybe, yeah,
Double duty.
I mean, if it was Josh Barnett versus Loki, that would be fucking amazing.
That would almost be worth like getting the show for.
Yeah, seriously. Especially when Loki goes off script against Josh Barnett.
Loki's like, I'm not losing to him.
Yeah. The other thing I watched some of Beyond Wrestling's New Year's Eve show. So I watched, hold on to your fucking drawstrings, because I watched Nick Gage versus Drew Gulak.
Years in the making.
And years in the making, 6 minutes in the wrestling. They did 6 minutes of crowd brawling. Nick Gage pulled out the pizza cutter, started cutting Drew's face up, and the ref threw the match out for excessive violence.
Oh, come on.
Not that fucking rules.
And so on March 1st, they're doing Gage versus Gulak in a proper death match.
That's a little funny for your biggest, what you've deemed your biggest show of the year to be really a build to a March show.
Well,
It's
wait until you hear
funny.
what the Beyond main event was.
Oh, I already know, man, and I'm not.
Everyone knows.
Yeah. The IWTV Championship, Fans Bring the Weapon, Cruel versus Marcus Mathers.
Woo!
And this match, surprisingly fun to watch.
Like, is that a curve that we're saying this?
I would watch it again without being like, oh god, here we go. Because it's a Fans Bring the Weapon match, so it is just all weapons shots. It's just, Cruel hitting Marcus Mathers with shit, and then Marcus Mathers hitting Cruel with shit. And then they did a part where Mathers held a gusset plate in his hand, and started repeatedly chopping Cruel. And Cruel was he looked like a tomato match because he was just bleeding. Mathers, he bled too, but by the end of the match, he was more covered in Cruel's blood than his own. And, I don't think it lasted much longer than like 15 minutes, so there you go.
That sounds heinous still. That sounds heinous.
Cage match tells me 22 and a half.
It didn't feel like 22 and a half. I'm gonna be honest. When I was watching it, it did not feel like there are some matches where you watch a 22-minute match and you're like, I feel every moment of this.
I am comfortably higher on Marcus Mathers and Cruel than Sam, and I was staring at that runtime the whole time you're talking.
No,
like you were saying words.
There's a blatant lie. It's like a hair over 15 minutes. Dan, nope.
It seriously felt more like a 15-minute match than a.
Did you watch Thatcher versus Rourke?
I skipped right over that one. I do not give a shit.
Oh, wow.
I'll
don't give a shit about a Thatcher match, but very excited for Cruel.
Cruel is. I mean, there's a reason that Cruel was one of the nominees for most badass wrestler, and Thatcher never even sniffed it.
Oh shit!
True.
We got John Walters on this show.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah, 2CW legend. Dan, I give you a lot of shit about AIW, but I also know deep down in my heart, if 2CW is running still, I would be much worse.
I used to go see, when I was in high school, I used to go see John Walters at fucking Chaotic Wrestling.
Yeah.
That fucking rules.
Before his Puerto Rico
worked.
Before I watch Mathers vs. Cruel, I'm going to watch Ryan Clancy versus John Walters. I'm going to watch Gulak versus Gage. I'm going to watch Thatcher versus Rourke. I might even throw on Dustin Waller versus Zeta Steel.
This sounds bad. Don't do that.
Yeah, I think you're taking it too far.
It's only 6 minutes, though. I could watch that like 4 times before I watch Mathers vs. Cruel. That's economy of time right there.
Yeah, but,
anyway, importantly...
Mathers versus Cruel had a wiffle bat covered in pine cones as a weapon. And that's when I was like, okay, these guys are doing something I want to see.
Well, importantly, Dylan Hales and Vin Gerard have strapped up Marcus Mathers for the world of IWTV. That's just big brain thinking.
WWE never let him lose again.
I hope he just goes around telling promoters that. Like the stories of Dralistico in Mexico being like, oh yeah, no, I'm sorry, I can't lose. I've got an AEW contract.
Oh, speaking of GCW and politicking, I just saw a story on Twitter because back in November when GCW announced Tajiri and Super Crazy and Guido were going to be on the show, and people were wanting to do the 3-way dance. I guess when AIW ran Guido versus Super Crazy versus Steve Payne, it was supposed to be a singles match, and Steve Payne just bugged them all day till he got on it, and I think that fucking rules. People were making fun of him, but I'm like, no, that rules.
And also, to note, that match is not happening, correct?
No. They're doing a 6-man where those 3 are on the same side, and they're facing
it's
Gringo Loco
Crazy,
and his crew.
Tajiri, and Little Guido versus Gringo Loco, Ares, and Jack Cartwheel.
That's a Jack Cartwheel away from being something I would watch. Even the year of our Lord 2025.
I just want them to show Little Guido next to Richard Holiday, because Richard Holiday looks like you took a photo of Little Guido and put him through one of those like Yassify apps.
Yeah, pretty much. Is the IWTV belt worth anything? Or is it trash, been trash for a while?
You could probably scrap it.
It seems to mostly be defended at Wrestling Open, so it's probably slightly more prestigious than having a criminal record for sex offenses.
There we go.
I think it's like child molestation, then one ring up is IWTV champion.
Sure, I think Cruel is one thing, but Marcus Mathers, who's going to be wrestling like third from the bottom on any given GCW card. Just feels like a different. You're just like, you know what? We're tapping out.
When
We
did
don't
you?
give a shit.
So you were still in on when Cruel had it, but I felt like they threw in the towel on this title back when AC Mack didn't work out.
I'm not saying it was good.
Okay.
But at least I could buy into the idea that Cruel was their guy. And he was working MLW occasionally. So at least it seemed like, oh, he's working for the major leagues quite literally. So what more could you want? I don't know what Marcus Mathers is giving you.
Have you ever heard the Voices of Wrestling guys talk about Marcus Mathers?
No.
No.
That's the right answer. But they are like, well, he's the number one guy you sign. It's obvious why he's ID'd. And I just think they just go out like, well, obviously he's ID'd. Like, he's the number one unsigned talent in the nation.
I mean, I don't agree with them, but I do agree that he's exactly the sort of guy that you would expect a WWE ID thing to sign.
I could agree with that.
He does flashy moves. He's relatively good looking. He's in shape. He can wrestle without a shirt on better than a lot of indie wrestlers.
Yeah, I don't like Marcus Mathers is the sort of dude I imagine to have a tattoo that Joe Lanza would be like really strongly familiar with. So that all checks out. Anything else you watched, Pat?
No, nothing. Nothing
worth talking about.
I ended up watching old angles that we will get into one day on Desert Island Comps.
Hell yeah.
It's called research, and I love it. I appreciate it. I've got a quick plug on that. If you have anything that you would like to promote, I am trying to re-up the Desert Island Comp series. If you would like to be on, message me. I have received multiple messages so far to schedule episodes. So far, Europeans, which is fine, but gonna mess with my sleep schedule to get these done. If you're born, if you are in the U.S.,
I wrote out my preliminary list. I'm not going to share what the list is, but by my quick math, my Desert Island comp begins in 1994 and ends in 2000.
I love it.
I'm waiting until I'm approached.
Chris was very hurt. And you know what? That's on me. I'll take the heat. Chris, I want you on. I want you on.
He just doesn't want to distract you from the important work of the Lucha Roundup.
That true.
Oh man, Chris, while we're here, what have you been watching? Any Lucha?
Well, eventually, the August Lucha Roundup did get posted. I told you all. No one believed me, but it's there. You can read it if you haven't.
And it's the one and only time someone's going to shout out a sexy star match on the Violent People Network.
Everyone was really excited about that. Everyone loved that sexy star was featured. And I have Pat to thank for that. So thank you, Pat.
It's a shame that you missed, or I missed showing it to you in time. You can't edit it into a past roundup. She had a match in like May versus Simbolo. And it's just the two of them walking around chopping each other for like 8 minutes. And I was just like, this is the kind of match I would want to be at.
Just real beautiful stuff. After I published that, I did not watch any wrestling while I was in the state of Michigan. So,
well, you did something crazier. You sat down with like a pen and paper and started writing stuff about pro wrestling.
Yeah, I don't have a laptop currently. So like when I got bored, I was just I had pen and paper, and I started working on my match recommendations for the VP 2010s. Because I'm a normal person that has normal brain function. Everything is normal with me.
Let's say you're with a group of people and something falls out of your pocket. And someone goes, "What's this?" And they unfold the piece of paper, and it's just a list of matches.
Well,
They
it
probably lock you up.
was a notebook, so
Oh, okay. All
it wouldn't
right, all
fall
right.
out of my
Also,
pocket.
that's
It
why
would be
you
too
write
big.
the code.
It
You
would be
use the
too
Leonardo
big.
da Vinci mirror language. You make it look like the Notebook from Seven, the opening credits.
Yeah. Just a lot of writings about David Starr and all of our other friends.
Friends of the show.
Yeah. And since getting back home in the great state of Wisconsin, I've spent most of my time either working, getting drunk at social functions, or sleeping. But I did make some time for about half of the AEW show, the pay-per-view that happened over the
Oh
weekend.
yeah, I forgot that happened.
And
Was it good?
I didn't go back to catch the pre-show or any of the first few matches, but I watched everything from the MJF Adam Cole match on up, and MJF and Adam Cole pleasantly surprised that it was only merely a bad match, a bad and boring match, instead of just absolute dog shit, worst match of the year quality, which was my expectation. Do not watch this match regardless. It is not good. The post-match angle where Adam Cole makes nice with Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong was weird. In the aftermath of him getting beat by MJF. Hopefully that's just a nice moment for Adam Cole after losing. To like give him a nice moment and these two men never wrestle each other again. I do not have faith in that. After that was the AEW international match between Konosuke Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs, which a lot of people liked a lot more than I did. It felt like a match that just got tacked into the show.
Wasn't it?
It basically was. I heard that, like, I have not watched AEW TV outside of like random tournament matches here and there. But apparently, if my sources are to be believed, this match got built on Rampage, which is a show that doesn't even exist anymore. And it was fine, but it just felt like it should have been a TV match and a weird inclusion on this card for just what it was. It just felt, even though it was a title match, it didn't feel high stakes, and it was kind of a bummer. But a lot of other people liked it, so maybe
Can I jump in with some breaking news, AEW related?
yeah, go for it.
Jeff Jarrett's going after the world title.
Let's go.
I'm fucking into that big time. Sorry, I just had to.
He should win.
I mean, God willing, we get to All In, and it's Jeff Jarrett versus Edge main eventing.
He's in the casino, whatever you call it, gauntlet next week.
Jeff Jarrett should win the title,
show.
and then Tony will be back. I liked the Mercedes Monet versus Chris Statlander match quite a bit. The crowd was dead for the first portion of it, but they worked it really well enough that eventually, after suffering through an MJF match and then a poorly built international title match, they eventually got the crowd back into it, and it was just a really solid match. It wasn't as good as their previous match, but these Mercedes matches are probably the best Chris Statlander matches I've ever seen, which take that what you will. But it was really fun. I had a good time watching that one. And then the Continental Classic final match between Okada and Ospreay, I thought was awesome. I thought it's basically why you would have given both of these guys $1 trillion to join your company, is to put them in the finals of your fake G1 and then have them put on a G1 match in the final. And it was only 19 minutes, but it felt like a proper New Japan epic, and it built on their New Japan matches really nicely. Okada has not looked this good since the Danielson match at the Tokyo Dome. He just had a really smartly worked match, having a counter for everything Ospreay was going to do. And like, some people will be mad at some selling stuff from Ospreay, like they always are. But it had minimal silliness from him. So I think if you are an Ospreay doubter, this is still going to probably be on the high end of what you would like to see from him. He's just like going hard. Okada's the smarter wrestler. And there's no like stupid Don Callis shit or whatever with screwdrivers or whatever. It's just like, if you want to see a good ass New Japan style tournament final match, I absolutely adored this match. I was fucking amped. Kenny Omega came back after Okada won, and like, that should be fun. It probably won't match their best stuff, but you have to run that match in AEW while both of those men are physically capable of having a match with each other. So hopefully they just like wrap Kenny Omega in bubble wrap after the New Japan stuff, and he can have this match before his entire body blows up again. And then the world title match sucked. It was a 4-way that was worked like a WWE style multi-man match, and it sucked. It was doo-doo ass. It was Jon Moxley, Hangman Page, Jay White, Orange Cassidy, who are guys on my radar from like, I will watch them, like, pretty good. I would watch them in a title match too. I really like them. And this was below all of them. It was stinky doo-doo ass. And like, right after 2 matches that I thought were phenomenal, ending the show with that wet fart of a match, and then Adam Copeland comes out to challenge John Moxley, was just like, okay, yeah, this is still AEW.
So I read the results really quickly. How crazy did the crowd get when Jay White hit the Blade Runner on a woman? Because if I'm to remember anything from the Attitude Era, when Stone Cold finally hit the stunner on China, you would think that they set off a nuclear bomb.
I mean, I kind of drowned the crowd out because I was just yelling to myself, I hate this shit. Why are they doing Shield shit? Why are they like just doing nonstop finisher spam? Because it's a WWE 4-way match and there's no actual logic to anything that's happening. So I'm sure it got a pop. I don't remember the kind of pop it was.
Also, follow-up question. Did you guys see that the tournament that Big Japan did on New Year's Eve?
Big
Yes.
Japan
'Cause
Pro
I'm looking at
Wrestling?
it now. Big Japan Pro. I'm looking at who's in their deathmatch New Year's Eve tournament. I'm like, why the fuck didn't I watch this?
It's on. You had to go Triller to watch it.
I have Triller.
That's what I'm saying. Like you should have watched it. It's
Yeah,
not on
Oh my
yeah.
god.
BJW Core.
Oh
But it's
my god.
Hideyoshi Kamitani, Eric Dillinger, Beastman, Schlack, Violento Jack, Chuck Stein, Mickey Knuckles, and Daiju Wakamatsu in a one-night deathmatch tournament. And then they've also got Akira and Yusako Ito mixed in there somehow. I mean, why was I watching the crap I watched and not this?
Yeah, there's
Mickey
an
Knuckles in a Big
astronauts.
Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, and there's like an astronauts tag against Sekimoto and Tanaka, which could either be like pretty fun or terrible, depending on the
Yeah,
night.
I saw that tag go
Yeah.
up on VK right before we went on started recording.
You've got
I mean
Shigura
that's
versus
one match.
Kikuta.
The one match I'm not interested in is the Astronauts versus Sekimoto and Tanaka match, just because every other match has fluorescent light tubes,
Yeah,
and that match is like the one thing, not a light tubes match, and I'm just like, no, they can fuck off.
yeah, we are not supporting strong, Big Japan Strong in 2025, but we are
Japan only
checking
has
in. We are checking in to see Isami Kodaka, Yuko Miyamoto, and Masashi Takeda team up. Yeah, hell yeah.
unironically, yes, but also Japan only has 2 years left with light tubes, so they gotta, this is the final countdown tour for the Spooky Dust.
I can tell you
What's going to happen to Freedoms after? Like, Big Japan at least has, like, the Strong, but what happens to Freedoms?
Maybe they just buy a bunch of cactuses.
That's
I
a
don't
fair
want to
point.
spoil the tournament for you, Pat, but I know
feel
for
like
a fact
I've
that
lost the plot here.
that Beastman goes over Schlack, and
That's okay.
Facebook was furious about it.
Respect Beastman.
Schlack can't win them
Can
all.
we get this show back on track here? I don't know what just fucking happened.
With what? What happened?
That's what I'm wondering. Dan, that's what I'm wondering.
What do you?
We've worked in the world of Big Japan professional wrestling.
Yeah, Green Phantom and Madman Pondo tagged together.
Yeah, they had a.
Oh yeah,
big,
Dan, you had some big Madman Pondo news.
Oh, he got engaged.
Oh,
Again.
congrats to Pondo.
And
How
what
old is this
grade
individual?
She's like
what grade?
Yeah,
What grade of school was she in?
Oh, when he was born. Oh God, I don't know. That's. Or I mean, wait, she's 27. That's like really old for Madman Pondo. I'm like kind of proud of him. That has
That is
got to be his
illegal.
oldest fiance he's ever had. I guarantee it.
Well, I mean,
That's gross.
He's coming to prefer slightly mature women.
He's only 1 year older than twice her age.
God damn.
Maybe the math checks out.
I can't.
Listen, she looks
Pondo's-
real young. I was real scared. I was like, here we go again.
Yeah, you you posted that picture, and I'm like, oh my god, Man-Made Pondo has kidnapped a teenager.
Again. So that seems progress. Progress for Man Pondo, I suppose. I had no idea how I wasn't aware of this Facebook news, Dan. I feel like I'm out of the loop now.
What the engagement? It happened yesterday.
Okay. But no, just like Fat Pat knew about it. And I'm like, what are we talking about?
Because he posted it on the Discord at a moment I happened to be looking at the Discord.
I
had to share it with the Discord.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Goodness gracious.
I mean, what else
Chris,
are we going to talk about on the Discord? Like fucking Raw?
Let me tell you, if you're
That sounds like
about
Pondo.
1997 Raw, what the hell are you doing in your life? Find a new hobby. I don't think this is right for you. It's not good for your mental well-being if that's a concern you're currently having. Steph, I'm talking to you. But literally everyone else who is like, they only have 3 episodes of 2001 Raw. What am I going to do? I don't know.
Bear in
Literally
mind,
watch
Steph
anything
is the
else.
Steph is the only writer people come to the site for.
This is true. We have stats to back that up. Unless Dan is unearthing footage, that's the only thing that's going to move the needle. So, I guess, but for Steph, we'll give him the footage. We'll get it for him. That's not a problem. That can happen. But Netflix.
And if you want to hear more about 1997 Raw, then just tune into whenever I do Desert Island comps.
There you go.
It will come up.
There you go. I'm not going to watch any of that before we record. And that's what's important. That's what's important. Chris, anything else that you've been watching? Also, big news. In addition to the Jeff Jarrett news that Dan alluded to earlier, I think it's great that we record during Dynamite, so we have some just breaking stuff constantly. Formerly known as Edge, Adam Copeland is also now formerly known as Adam Copeland because he is now going by Cope.
Okay.
I think that is beautiful. So there you go. Chris, anything else you've been watching?
No, it's just the AEW show. Other than that, I have been putting my body through hell with alcohol and not sleeping well and working.
It wasn't meant to geocache this much.
Yeah, one was not meant to geocache as much as I have been geocaching. And you should not geocache while drunk. It's just dangerous.
It's rule number 1.
But that's what my roommate wanted to do for his birthday, and so who am I?
I'm looking at a picture here. Rated R Superstar Cope. They wrote it down. They put it on the little lower Chiron.
It's on the internet and everything.
Holy shit.
So I'm the only guy in the show who actually likes Edge, right?
If this was 20 years ago, I love Edge. Well, like 20, 22, 23, 24 years ago.
Watching it. I think he's in the kind of thing where he knows all the tricks of being an old wrestler, and he doesn't necessarily do them the best. But I have more fun watching guys like Dustin Rhodes and Edge and Christian than I do. Like
one of these things is not like the other.
So Edge in AEW has been better than his WWE run, which was terrible because Edge is allowed to do stupid shit. And so, like, you had the Malachi Black match, which is not like that's a weird match because I almost said it's not like a good match, but it is like, it almost is a good match. It's a great match.
Oh, the hoot.
Between great men who did very stupid things, and then Edge broke his entire leg and then kept wrestling, and then got even dumber. And Gangrel was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the Edge is the sort of guy who's like, what if we bring out Gangrel for my match? You know, just weird shit like that. And I'm like, I would rather watch someone who brings out Gangrel for his matches and breaks his leg jumping off a cage than I would than Daniel Garcia.
I'm not as low on Edge as I was when he had the greatest match ever against Randy Orton or whatever.
Oh
But
yeah, I skipped all that. I'm no interest in.
And now
As
now he
this-
can wrestle. Now he can wrestle the new Randy Orton, Kyle Fletcher.
it's just it's so crazy to me that when you have Omega coming back, we're the 78th podcast to say it, to end with Edge return instead of Omega's return.
Go
Yeah,
listen
and also
to
the weird stuff where
Q&R.
they didn't acknowledge the fact that Kenny Omega is wrestling in 3 days.
Apparently, they're still not doing that, based on Discord. Go listen to Q&R for multiple people who watched the recent AEW pay-per-view, where they talk about why the hell did that C2 final not go on last. Thought-provoking questions. All right, I'm gonna dive into what I've been watching, if we all don't mind. It's about a bunch of random bullshit. Most likely, not most likely, most definitely.
You should know.
Yeah. We start with Shelton Benjamin versus Mark Briscoe from the first leg of the C2. It's really good. Everyone go watch it. I highly recommend. Then I move on to Ricochet versus Claudio. Don't recommend as much, but that match doesn't suck. I thought that was gonna stink up the joint. That's a good match, I think. So
This is the Bulge Forever match.
sure, yep.
It is.
Was
Yep.
that was the one where the crowd was chanting "Bulge Forever" at them?
I don't know. I blanked out on what this crowd is doing. I don't care really what crowds are doing. So I just try to out of sight, out of mind. But Ricochet doesn't look terrible. Every time I watch, hey, he's not that bad. He's not terrible. I mean, it's like everyone treats him like he is a Make-A-Wish kid. I don't know if that's quite the case.
I think
he's
that,
also 40.
I think that within the kind of enclosed space of our Discord, there's a certain degree of like a take heats up, and people just kind of latch onto it and keep like ratcheting it up. And Ricochet being bad now is one of those ones where, I remember when that match was on live and the Discord chat was just going like, this guy's so fucking washed. He should be taken out back and shot. Stuff like that. And I'm like, I mean, he can still do a lot more than like 75% of wrestlers. He's just not the freakishly inhuman guy he was in 2015.
And he should be killed.
He should be killed,
Yeah.
though. I mean, that's entirely different.
Yeah, these
That's,
things
unrelated.
are mutually exclusive. I also watched some CMLL. Most of it wasn't very good. I don't know what I was thinking. I kind of was just taking a scattershot approach and was hoping something landed. Not a bunch. I would say some of my takeaways. Valiente Jr., I think is good. I don't know anything else about him other than I think he's got the juice compared to, I don't know. I feel like the Neon, Regito, Magnus, those folks got talked up as like these young studs, and like, oh, the Valiente Jr. is so much better than all those flippy do.
Neon and company, they're all Volador Junior's trainees, so they
that all makes sense when you say that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
it all clicked.
they have kind of a stable affiliation of like young guys trained by Volador Junior who are all kind of indiscreetly getting pushed a little bit more than the other young guys.
I don't know what happened with Volador Jr. as far as the narrative shifting. It feels like we're all on the same page. This wrestler is not good. And then at some point, he started getting treated like a net positive for matches. A wrong turn was made, and I need people to pay for their sins.
Oh no, it's going to come right back around. His knees are gone. Like It's at the point where, if you put him in a match, it's kind of 50-50 of whether he'll be able to stand by the end.
Because one of the matches I watched was the AEW versus Samuel L. Atomico's match from March 29th. Finally got around to that. He's easily the worst part of that match.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dive too much into that match because that's a match that I know is going to be brought up during announcement time. We are doing an award show in likely a few weeks. I'm sure that's going to come up in some form or fashion.
I'm very sure.
Volador Jr. is the worst part of that.
Well, I mean, that match is on the short list for best match that we will be debating and discussing and narrowing down.
Correct. I watched Svenge versus Zandokin Jr. I have never seen, I'm pronouncing this terribly so apologies there. Never seen Zandokin Jr. Great. Loved his performance here. I need to watch more of him. Immediately. Hachicero versus, how do you say his name? Xelhua.
I believe it's Shelwa.
Shewa.
It's either Shelwa or Zelwa. I don't know for
sure. Yeah, that match from July I think is not good, unfortunately. Two wrestlers I like. Not an enjoyable experience for myself. Then I decided to watch AEW's Revolution from this year, from I guess last year now. Great show. Top to bottom. I get it now. I will say maybe I am not in the Sting retirement match, greatest match of all time business that was going on. I think there's maybe a little excitement in the bloodstream around the time. But lots of good stuff on that show, which is now months late to discuss. So I won't go too into it other than to say FTR versus Blackpool Combat Club got short shrifted a bit amongst this show. It is one of the best matches on the show. And then Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong is just a menace to society in that match. Then some important trio of matches is I decided today to watch 3 juicy finale matches to get in the zone. First one versus Megan Bayne from GCW from October 19th. Pat, how do you feel about this match?
Well, I think I spoiled my feelings earlier when I described Megan Bayne as not very good at wrestling.
Probably.
She's got the look, she's got the aura and the chills and so on. I generally do not buy, she needs someone kind of leading her around by the nose during a match. And unfortunately, I don't think Juicy was doing that.
Disagree hard. Juicy leads like no one else. And I think this match is, you guessed it, a who. I like Megan.
I mean, it's definitely a who just on the basis of it's a 6-foot-tall woman versus an 800-pound South Pacific gentleman.
And that's great. That's perfect.
I'm looking for what I gave it. I gave it 2.5 out of 5. So
there you go. I gave it 3.5 out of 5. I think this match very good. I think Megan is. I like Megan better than you. I think full stop.
You should have, for that's the show with the Sequel versus Rina Yamashita main event, which, spoiler alert, will probably be one of my top 5 GCW matches of the year.
Yeah. I think Megan is really good. I think she brings an intensity to the match that's. I think I'll talk about one match where the opponent for Juicy has zero intensity, zero sense of urgency. And really, I don't feel like there's anything built throughout the match. The body slam is built throughout this entire thing, which is fairly simplistic all in all, obviously. But I think Megan can get that over as sort of the Hulk Hogan parallel here.
Yeah, I mean,
the Juicy Andre.
It's a hard archetype to fuck up. So
it doesn't
I
make
mean,
it not good. Doesn't make it not good is where I stand.
well, no, I'm just saying, like, it's, I've watched like Megan Bain matches where it's like Megan Bain versus some random person, and it goes like 19 minutes, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, why are you doing this, Brett? And this was not one of those matches.
Yeah, and I remember seeing her in like Beyond, where I felt like she was a little bit more constricted, and this is also probably not in 2024 as much. So also, if you're getting fed through the GCW machine, I can't judge the work in that way.
I think more troubling with Megan Bain is the likelihood that she's getting pointers on how to wrestle from Joey Janela.
That'd be a problem. That'd be a problem. Next match, AJ Gray and Sonico and TMD versus the South Pacific Savages, Asofa Parisi and Junior Fatu and Juicy Finau. Match is not good. There is music playing the entire time. So it looks interesting on camera, even though the Wi-Fi's fucked in this place. So the camera's constantly jittering. And for like the first half of the match, they couldn't figure out where they wanted to focus. So they just kept flipping which camera they were on every, 2 to 3 seconds. And it was
this
nightmare.
Oasis Pro? Are they like in like brawling through a crowd?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Post this in the Discord. I think the match is not good. Don't recommend watching it. I do think it's a little funny at times with how bad some of these people are. Like TMD is just like real low tier shit. At the end of the day, Junior Fatu honestly is 2 for the most part, and I like AJ Great as a professional wrestler, and Juicy Finau, but that's not enough here to really make this something to go out of your way for. Then the last match, Effie versus Juicy from December 13th. Effie is just bad.
Yeah.
I don't think he has any sense of urgency. His offense is shit. He doesn't really bump in any meaningful way for Juicy, which is a lot of what I sign up for, is that Juicy can really dish it out if you let him. But if, I don't know, if he just doesn't have it in him to take the big bumps here. So it kind of feels like just a boilerplate, not a whole lot going on match, which is a real bummer.
Yeah, one thing I've learned from watching all this GCW is that Effie and Mance Warner, their chemistry is genuinely like a freak of nature type fluke. Because then I watch Effie versus anyone else. I'm just like, all right, here's Effie. Just kind of going out there and doing his thing, and it's the same thing every match. What you got to watch is Schlack versus Juicy from Battleground Championship. That is a bizarre match.
I don't know how to take that. I don't know how.
It is a strange match because Juicy is the one selling the entire match.
Juicy's good at
the match. Yeah, but it's built around, Schlack, who's like 5'2", but like roided out of his mind. And he like can't quite pick up Juicy or like throw him around very convincingly. But he still tries to for the entire match and then just settles for just like beating him with planks of wood. It is a strange match.
It's on the watch pile. I was working forward, so I wasn't looking backwards at Cage Match earlier today. All right, so that's what we've been watching. And that means we're moving on to the big top.
Well, we're going to talk about what's going on the site first.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't know why we got that in there. What was that, Dan?
I was wondering if we were going to talk about what's going on the site before we got to the big top.
Oh, Dan, tell us what's going on the site.
I recently wrote a piece about Gram Zaza. People should read it. It's the first of many. I'm gonna cover every match he ever had. Koro did a end of year best of 2024 recommended matches roundup. People should look at that.
I will say your Grom Zaza thing made me excited to go and check this guy out. I don't think I've ever seen any of his stuff. If I have forgotten it.
He's
your
awesome.
write-up did make me excited.
He's awesome, and like basically everything he did, as far as I know, is on tape. So anything I talk about, you can watch. It is my least read piece I've ever done for the site, and that's saying something. So we got that going on, and then I think, when is VP 2010s? When's the first piece of that going up?
That should go up tomorrow. So I guess today, if you're listening when this goes live.
This is to meet your voters, or are you doing meet your voters and honorable mentions?
We're doing meet your voters to start, and then we'll start the rollout from there.
I have some beef. We're gonna get into it live on air.
With me?
I'm gonna read a quote here. My first large-scale project over here on Violent People.
Oh,
we all know the 25 under 25.
25. Yeah, you're right. All right. I
That
almost
was your
made a bit
baby.
about that, but I thought better of it and decided I actually never want to talk about it or think about it ever again. So as long as I don't bring it up, maybe Dan won't bring it up.
See how that worked out for you?
Yeah, backfired in a big way.
Yeah. I don't even know what else you wrote, but yeah.
This is a bit out of date now, but on Christmas I did put up the winner of the tables, ladders, and chairs poll, along with a playlist of hand-selected tables and/or ladders and/or chairs matches. So if you are desperately bored and you really want to see like fucking the APA and Jacqueline versus the Dudley Boys and I forget who, I think Stacy Keebler.
Yeah.
That's got the link. It's got your hookup.
Yeah, and then the aforementioned Q&Ar, they came out with, I think, 2 podcasts since we've last spoken. So I think that's everything that's happened at the site.
Quick thing. It was originally planned to go up today, but I have not been near my computer until this very moment. The ballot for VP 100 for 2024 should be going up tomorrow, aka January 2nd. I know some people have been asking about that and may even have lists ready to submit. And you will be able to vote for that formally, hopefully while you're reading or listening to this. And you will have until March. Trying to remember the day I selected 10th.
And I'll do the same thing I'm doing for the VP 2010s. If you write, when Chris is done collating the VP 100 stuff, if you write 20 blurbs for wrestlers and send them to Chris, I will watch whatever stupid fucking match you morons want me to watch, and I'll talk about it on this show.
And I appreciate that. Judging from the Discord activity in the past week, should be a big year for the VP 100. A lot of people thinking about lists.
People were asking, this bugs me. People were asking how to vote well before the end of the year. Guys, do your work.
What are they doing?
What do you got to watch the whole fucking year?
Ty posted his massive show list
at 12:31.
Literally at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve. As soon as it ticked over to January 1st, Ty posted his top 100.
Yeah, I've got his list.
Yeah.
Get it together, people. Get it together.
There's no way he watched Megan Bain win that role.
Absolutely not.
That's got to factor
in. No, because I was telling him, you got to be watching your dude, Dr. Redacted versus Joey Janela in this 75-minute long classic. And he was like, "Oh, I'm not, near a TV that's like hooked up to Triller or whatever." And I'm just like, "All right, dude. I'll suffer alone, I guess."
Yeah. So it's a big big time period here at violentpeople.co. We just re-upped for the next year. So we'll be
So
here.
we're around, baby.
We're around. We're financially invested in keeping this thing afloat. In addition to that, feel free to buy mugs at your leisure at this point. It's not the holidays, but I think the mugs are nice.
I
think they make good Easter presents.
You have to send me like the breakdown of what mugs were bought since I posted that article. I'm gonna donate some money.
To you.
I'm donating some money to charity, and Al Getz is doubling it, so it's gonna be a decent chunk of change that we got money for the site. Now we're getting money for the homeless.
And if you buy 20 mugs, I will watch whatever match you want me to watch and review it on VPR.
I like how this is like, hey, you could write like words on 20 different wrestlers, or you could spend a healthy chunk of change to get you to talk
I think
about
there
one
are
match.
people who would sooner buy 20 mugs than write 20, 50-word blurbs.
I don't want to let in on my financial situation, but I'm glad you waited till after January 1st to buy 20 mugs. One guy buying 20 mugs would have upped the amount quite a bit.
I'm just pissed off that Tony Khan, I tweeted right at him, like, buy a fucking mug, and he didn't.
I got it.
At least
what
as far as
piece of crap.
I didn't realize how we made from these mugs. I'm looking at some financial.
Dan.
I'm looking at some financial data here. I really thought we were rich.
That's wild, Dan. Get it together. Get it together. Yeah, you really got to get these enamel mugs. Otherwise, we're making nada. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh, if you want to write for the site, let us know. Join the Discord, message myself or any of the other folks marked as founders in there.
Especially Tanner.
Especially Tanner. That will probably admittedly not help you very much. So go to myself, Dan, Chris, or Pat. We'd love to see what you're interested in writing about and see if that is a fit for the site. We've said no to very little. I'm gonna be honest with you. That probably isn't gonna change. Because most people are coming up to us with good ideas. Now, whether those actually happen and they come to the site, that's a totally different ball game. But I would love to hear the ideas regardless. Does that seem like a wrap on site news there, Dan?
I'm happy with it.
We
got a lot going on.
We got a lot going on.
We are soliciting. Before we are soliciting, we do want writers to write pieces about why it's bad that the WWE Network is going away. We need at least a couple long-form think pieces on that.
That is a joke, folks. That is a joke. I will immediately put those in the trash bin. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Now it's time for the big top. There we go.
There you go.
All right.
That's new.
What's up? This is from my other Discords. That's from a Discord for a company.
You have Discords without us?
Oh yeah. My work goes through Discord.
And I think you should invite us all.
No, can't do that. It's bad. I have like 50 different Discords that I have no sense of like, oh, is this for work or did I join this as a person?
I am on two Discord servers, including the Violent People one.
You know what? You're so lucky. Keep it that way if you can. All right, so for the big top this week, we honestly, I don't know if we actually all agreed, said, yes, let's do that. Double thumbs up. So I'm kind of riffing here and assuming that we're all good with doing our 2025 resolutions. Does that work for everyone here?
It works for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's like
All right,
Chris
resolution
was
number one. I'm not
geocaching
going to
anyway.
fucking watch
He wasn't going to prep for
77
this.
CCW shows.
There you go. There you go. Dan, you sounded ready to go. Is
I
that
am-
a proper assessment?
Yes. I
Okay.
would like. My first thought was I worked 28 pieces for Violent People last year. And I was going to do some kind of number, but I don't really like that. I kind of want, because like if I don't want to just throw slop at you guys, even like slop your slop. But I want to, if I say something's coming out, I would like it to come out. I've not been great about that this year or in my life. But for 2025, I'd like to not come on the podcast, talk about something that I'm writing showing up, and then not show up.
So what did you say? How often did you say the Zaza pieces are coming out?
I did not on purpose.
Okay.
But I will say this. You're going to have another one before next week.
Well, here's a question.
So you'll know if I make my resolution right away. You will have another one before you hear my voice again. There
You
it is.
said you were going to do every Zaza match.
Yes.
How many Zaza matches are there total?
I mean, like 28 or something. I could pull it up.
Okay, so
It's
yeah,
not a lot.
yeah.
Oh. Where is Zaza?
So it should be attainable for you. It's what you
20.
think.
Oh, no, 33. Because I'm including all of his MMA fights, too.
Okay.
And you're shooting for what, like
That like
3
the
or
ones
4
that are I'm doing for like the shoots and the works. I'm doing it all. So 38 or 33. Sorry, 33. So if I keep with 3 article, which is not a set number, that'd be 11 of these pieces, guys. But yeah, next week, between now and next week, you have another Zaza piece, and in 2025, I will not say that on air and not produce unless I get hit by a bus and then like, fuck you guys, I'm dead.
Oh man, this guy fought against Renato Sobral.
Yeah, Babalu.
Wow, great stuff. You'd love to hear it.
That's like one of it. That's a while from now, guys. That's 1999.
Nice.
I'm still in
Sorry about that. Sorry about
90, 92, I believe.
Didn't mean to spoil. the
Well, I don't know
career
if it's a spoiler,
that
but like,
happened
I don't think you're getting that
years
one in
ago.
January.
Anything else, Dan?
Can you skip me and come back?
Okay, sure.
No.
Sure. I'll lay out some of
Oh
mine.
no! Shit.
What?
Chris said no. I'm not
We're
allowed
gonna
to
come
skip
back
me.
to you. We're gonna come back to you. All right. As mentioned, bringing back Desert Island Comps. I would like to do 6 episodes this year. I did 0 in 2024, so this is an infinite increase over 2024. 6 seems doable. They are some of my favorite shows to do because it makes me feel like I'm doing good work. Sorry, folks here that are listening and currently on this call with me. This ain't my fastball. This ain't my fastball.
There are 2 people right here that have not been on the Desert Island Comp that could be. That's 2 out of 6 right there.
It's 2 out of 6.
And there's one
If Chris
person
isn't too offended.
who hasn't been personally invited.
That's
I personally invited Chris earlier this call. I gotta get in writing.
I'm thinking about it.
It's not in writing.
Well,
He's
stamp
thinking
it.
about
I got a
it.
signature. Does anyone on what's the never mind. I was gonna say something, but now I don't know what the term is. But yeah, Chris, you'll have a letter coming your way with my John Hancock. I'd like to write something once a month on the site, which is kind of like the bare minimum, it feels like for me. But that would be like a soft goal post VP 2010, since that will be taking up most of my time and energy for the next month and change. So yeah, I think that's kind of where I'd like to land. I have one other thing, but I'll circle back on that. Chris, any resolutions?
Oh yeah. I am hoping to be more on top of the Lucha Roundup in 2025. Other than that, I would love to Dan and I, and if Sam wants to hop on the show as well, have spoken previously, it was months ago at this point, about doing a Talking Tourneys.
If talking about doing Talking Tourneys made it so, I've had so many out last year.
Yeah, I would love to record. I think initially we were talking about Tournament of Death, and we were waiting on the VOD. If it's not 2024 Tournament of Death, something fun and gets us all riled up. So maybe style, one of the style battles really
There we go.
could be. Because I
Dan,
do
no
love a
offense.
style battle.
I mean, no offense when I say this, but you not doing any Talking Tourneys after I said I want you
Not
to
true.
have this because I don't
Not
think
true.
I have like the time or energy. One of the more gratifying things I was like, oh, it wasn't just me.
I don't know why you're lying to the listeners. I did an episode after you left.
Oh, you did. You did one.
Me and Tim did one episode.
Yeah, you're correct. Sorry.
So
It came out August 23rd. Talking Tourneys number 27. One of my best episodes, I have to say. One of the best.
it was a good. I
mean, you
remember
did
listening to
have
that
Tim
one. It
on.
was good.
I'm
Tim,
doubling. I'm
pro.
going to double how many I did without Sam, guaranteed. I'm doing a minimum of 2 Talking Tourneys this year.
So Dan
I
had
love
reached
it.
out to me saying he was interested in doing a Carnage Cup Talking Tourneys, and then I kind of forgot about it because I guess when the VOD of the Carnage Cup came out, like
Unwatchable.
most of day 2 was like not filmed. Or like was filmed, but like someone left the lens cap on or something.
You can
So-
just do one of like
I
the
don't-
4 GCW tournaments from last year.
Listen, I've talked to Pat about doing an episode, talked to Chris about doing an episode. I'm just going to name names. JR has spoken at length. Daniel Makabe. Tim wants to do another one. People are blowing me up, but I just don't get back to him.
You should get Daniel Makabe for the Carnage Cup.
He wants to do a G1, I believe.
Oh, fuck that. No.
No.
That's-
Like from the 90s.
No, I'm vetoing that. No,
Doesn't-
make him watch the worst thing you possibly can. Be like,
Doesn't
this is
wrestling-
what
I don't know what
you
kind
get
of
for
power
leaving
you think I
wrestling.
have, but all right.
Doesn't Wrestling
Yeah,
is
dude.
Gross make
They
Daniel?
make Daniel do, Carnage
Yeah.
Cup. And it's awesome.
So that's already covered.
Yeah.
All right,
I haven't listened to that episode
we gotta,
yet, but that's always them
we gotta
forcing.
think of some way to punish Daniel Makabe.
What? We don't got punished, Dan. Dan's a good guy.
We
Yeah,
have to convince him that he is our enemy.
He
That's
is
a
one of like a very low number that I've read the Groton Zaza piece.
Do you like it?
I don't know
Oh,
about
you
that.
didn't say that? Okay, sorry.
I don't know about that. Let's not calm down.
I mean, he messaged Dan saying, "I'm reading the Grum Zaza piece now," and then suddenly Dan is blocked.
Oh, well, I'll let you know he's complimented Talking Tourneys, Sam, and he's said he's aware of this. So take that how you will.
I don't know. I don't know how I take it. That's okay. Cool.
Oh, but I had a question for
Cool.
Chris about your resolution. How are you approaching the Lucha Roundup? Are you going to stay in the timeline you're currently on?
So starting this month, I am like kind of double dipping.
Fuck yeah.
So I am. I started right before I left. I made a big list of September matches to watch. So I will be starting that tonight or tomorrow, probably tomorrow, while also trying to keep up to date on what gets uploaded for January. So you'll probably see the January 2025 piece before you see like November or December.
I thought you said that. That's awesome.
Also, I just want to call out an inequality where everyone bags on me for watching like 99 GCW shows, but Chris has been watching like every Thursday's IWRG show, and that is completely insane.
There is
No.
more good wrestling on those shows than there is in GCW.
I strongly doubt it.
No,
I think they're
definitely
better
is.
wrestlers, but maybe not better wrestling.
I think 1,000%.
when they run
I think
the
the
random lucha the random shows, those are way more fun than any GCW show.
I'm gonna say because they do a fucking cage match show at the start of every year. Those
I didn't say
matches
they were all
are
gems.
yeah no, but I'm just saying those matches like if people who think like oh like Will Ospreay bad, this is the worst wrestling I've ever seen. You need to watch like fucking indie lucha cage matches with like 10 people in the cage. That is when you learn like oh this is what bad wrestling actually is.
I was watching something on YouTube and it threw on whatever the newest IWRG show was, and it took me way too long to realize it was a best of episode. I was like, they're killing it. 2 great matches in a row.
Yeah, when I said in the Lucha Roundup that Sexy Star cage match is better than like 95, if not more percent
99.
Of indie lucha cage matches, that was not hyperbole.
Yeah, no, they for some reason indie lucha they love doing the thing where someone escapes and then wanders back into the cage match after they've already escaped and then somehow they're the person to lose. It's like they're backstage going like, no, but I still have to keep my heat. I have to get the visual pinfall in a cage match.
Great.
It's
Anyways,
not
what we're saying is lucha is
competition. It's not a competition, but there were 8 Lucha Roundups in year 1 of Violent People, 7 Rotten Rewatches. So there you go.
Dan, I don't want to poke holes, but I have to ask: does one of them include watching Bryan Danielson matches?
What did they take place in IWA Mid South?
Yes, but is it truly in the
just
spirit of watching
I just
IWA
give
Mid South
him-
chronologically? If you decide, oh, I'm gonna go actually skip ahead and just watch matches from the greatest wrestler of all time by some.
I don't know if there's been 7 total Sam posts in 2024, so I don't know why you're coming at Rotten Rewatch like this.
Oh man!
I'm sitting here complimenting Chris saying he beat me.
I brought the site to life, Dan.
Oh my god!
Oh,
why now? Why now?
Why now? Why?
I know all about why now. Sam.
One of my resolutions I'd like to make, I would like to read more new Rotten Rewatch pieces in 2025.
That's your resolution?
I would like to be the audience for more Rotten Rewatch.
I can't see what ones are my posts because I'm
credited
for every podcast that's gone up on the site.
Yeah, so you did a ton of posts. You're killing it.
Though I do get credit for all the 25 out of 25, so eat my ass on that.
You can't bury it and get all the credit for it. It's got to be one or the other. You're like, I get all the credit, never mention it again.
Time it's happened.
Yeah, you're right. You did 60 posts this year. You're killing it.
I know.
That's a work. That's more than once a week, man.
I'm doing good work. Pat, what are your resolutions for this year?
I would like to echo people saying that they would like to write more for the site. I would like to write more for the site. Often I find myself I'll have the idea, like, for example, the complete and accurate Brinley Reese. And it's a funny idea. People on the Discord have said that they are excited to read it. And then the actual writing of it becomes me sitting there and being like, how the fuck am I going to say anything interesting about 20 Brinley Reese matches? Because I would rather put a bullet in my brain than just write like a Chris Vedder style, like, and here's the moves she did. So that's been really difficult for me, is figuring out, do I have anything interesting to say about professional wrestling that isn't being said better by someone else? And part of that is just a me thing. I need to kind of get out of my own head for it. So for my resolution, I would like to get out of my own head more and be less daunted by the idea of contributing my voice to the site.
I love it.
My metaphorical voice. This is my literal voice that I'm contributing.
One of my other resolutions is to not feel all consumed with keeping up with 2024 or 2025 wrestling, current wrestling, which obviously I don't feel in a very substantial way since I fucking just watched a March show from AEW, but I more so mean like, maybe I can watch something that is from the 80s, 90s, 2000s on a more consistent basis and not worry about, all right, gotta get all my watch in for the, what was that?
How's your 1984 project going?
0%. 0%. That's why it's a resolution now for 2025. Gotta just get this BP 100 list put together, and then we move into a new chapter. But unfortunately, I'm not the person that will, at the stroke of midnight, submit my list. Just not me. Can't do it.
I have a resolution. It's kind of almost the opposite of what you're saying, but not really. I'd like to watch less shitty US indie wrestling.
Amen.
I feel tied to it sometimes. I feel tied to the indies because I've loved it so much in the past that I will drop in and just watch these full shows of just absolute garbage. And so I'd like to try to free myself from that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe follow more. I didn't really follow a lot of Japanese promotion this year. I don't know that there's one that I loved, but I can't really say because I haven't given most of them a shot, really. I gotta watch every MLW show, though.
Yeah, I mean, very funny.
You can join me in checking out the Big Japan Pro Wrestling Deathmatch division.
What would be funny, Sam?
If you got really into All Japan.
Man,
that would be like the funniest
yeah, that's funny in the same way that like someone developing a brain tumor is funny.
Or if Limit Break specifically, is that the promotion that quote unquote?
Oh shit! Jun Saito won the triple.
Oh yeah, you're telling me, man.
When the fuck were you gonna tell me?
Like, damn.
Oh, I was gonna bring it up like in just now, but you just brought it up, so I don't have to.
All right, well, here we go. Promotion I'm watching. You're right.
I also do want to dip my toes back into more Japan. I brought it up last episode watching New Japan again and seeing like how like the trajectory of the young guys there, but would love to get back on like the Freedoms grind. I'm
with you on
Freedoms.
that. I kind of want to do not quite the reverse of Dan, but I want to burrow deeper into my own idiosyncrasies and my own tastes in wrestling and watch more varied and weirder stuff. Like keeping up with AEW, even if AEW was doing anything interesting, like I just don't give a shit. There's nothing I really want to discuss about it. It's not really fun having the same Will Ospreay bad conversation over and over again. It's not fun, having the same Tony Khan discussion. So I think in 2025, I'm gonna try and get really weird.
Jun Saito's last single match is losing the Cyrus in September. This is a great promotion.
As it should be. Cyrus kicks ass.
Is anyone here going to watch Wrestle Kingdom or Wrestle Dynasty?
You would have to threaten my family with a gun.
Okay, I'm just checking in.
Like, there is no way in hell watching all.
It feels like Wrestle Dynasty came out of nowhere to me. I feel like it just was, this is a massive show instead of the normal day after Wrestle Kingdom. It's like,
they're still doing that. They're just pushing it out another day. So
it's the day after the day after, yeah.
Then Wrestle Dynasty, then New Year Dash.
What the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, there's 3 shows in a row.
That's too much. Too much wrestling, folks. Can't do it. Knock it off.
The premise is supposed to be Wrestle Kingdom is like the big New Japan show. Then Wrestle Dynasty is like them plus all their partners like AEW and CMLL and whoever. And then
I get the concept, but it feels like it just still. I don't know. Man, I'm just not in the weeds enough.
My problem with the Wrestle Dynasty card is when I read it in the order they have it in Cage Match, I like every match less and less. Like I start out like Lucha Gauntlet match. I don't know who's in it, but it's gonna be great. Then you got the 4-way women's match, which despite my rep, I think that'll be fun. Then you got You get Dustin Rhodes. You get Ishii, and then it's like, oh, then there's Young Bucks. Then there's David Finlay versus Brody King, and then there's Jack Perry. It's like, oh god.
Yeah, no, I think you're on the money there.
See, if somehow Chris and Pat were like, we're gonna watch this show, I'd watch it for the big top. But then I'm not gonna watch it if no one else is.
No, I'm gonna leave that to all of the Discord members who will loudly complain about something that they nonetheless are watching all 5 hours of.
Remember when Steph was just checking in if people were watching Noah? He wasn't watching it.
I mean, it's a valid question.
That's good shit.
It is a valid question.
You guys watching this? Fucking nerds. Hell yeah.
Really?
That rocks.
But then
Our Discord,
by like,
folks, if you're listening to this, you're obviously part of the Discord. I think that if you're here right now, this moment, that's 0% chance you're not there. It's so fucking funny.
but then by 9 a.m., it was like all people were doing was like posting results from the Noah show. So
Yeah, I feel like I don't have the feeling anymore of these first few days of the new year be like, oh man, look at all this wrestling to start watching. It's a clean slate. Let's get into it. I'm not in my 20s anymore. It ain't doing it for me.
The thing I'm most interested to see is because in Mexico they run like 8 million shows on New Year's Day. So I'm interested to see what comes out of that and what makes tape. But at the same time, it's invariably kind of disappointing because most of the name wrestlers will also be working like 5 shows. So, if you think Dr. Wagner Jr. doesn't try hard on his usual matches, wait until you see him when he's like just working a tag match and then he's got to jump in his car and make the next show.
Don't worry, if any of them are good, I'll tell you.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I know what the good ones. I know what the good ones because Sadaka is booked for at least one match, so I know there's stuff I will be watching.
Hell yeah. Anyone else have any other resolutions they want to crank out for 2025? Hell yeah.
I want to be a better podcaster.
You and me both want to be better podcasters, let me tell you.
I want to be a worse podcaster.
Mission accomplished.
Oh, I guess this is like every year and I never do it. More live wrestling shows.
I've decided to not see that this year.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I'm gonna see what dysfunction's cooking up.
I would love to go to more live wrestling, but most of the live wrestling within my state is wrestling open, so I cannot morally condone attending that.
You don't live in Wisconsin, baby.
I don't live where the good stuff happens.
There's like plenty of wrestling happening within an hour and a half of me on a pretty regular basis. But also, none of it's good enough to the point where I want to drive an hour and a half. And not enough happens closer. Also, I have a life now. So, not how it used to be.
See, that's how my thing is I will circle a show and I'll be like, I'll go see that show in 3 weeks, and then something more important will inevitably be happening.
I was like, sorry, I'm actually gonna go take my wife on a date instead of doing whatever this was. Ain't happening. SCI 2025. That's the show I'm going to. See y'all there. All right. That's it then. Any more resolutions? Otherwise, we're cutting it and moving to the formerly known as Wacky Line. Here we go.
Let's figure this shit out. What is it? What are their suggestions for a new name?
All right. Let me scroll through this. We got some suggestions. Isabel has Suggestions for we had a call for questions, which we didn't get a lot of, but we also had a call for suggestions for a better name for the segment than Wacky Line. Unfortunately, I was too scared to say I don't really like the name. If this is the name that's the best name, though, Wacky Line will stay. But we have Isabel, a wacky segment. You know what? I don't think this is going to cut the mustard here, folks. Not off to a great start.
Of a wrestling pun.
I don't get this one from Cole. He says, crinkly diaper Q&A. Anyone got more context for me?
Well, Isabel said, Cole, what? He didn't explain.
He just
I think
said,
that's mean that all the question askers have crinkly diapers.
Okay. Is crinkly diapers like they're pooping their pants or they're old? Or neither?
Both.
Okay. All right. Well, next one. The violent people question segment. I'm not going to get points for originality here.
Oh, wait until you get to the next one, though.
All right. Maryland does have a good one, I think. I do like it. The untitled violent people question segment. You know, that untitled does a lot of heavy lifting for me, personally.
I mean, you know I'm a fan.
Boy, do I.
We're going to get through all these. Then I'm going to hit you guys with my suggestion once we've gotten through all the Discord ones.
All right. I love it. Chris, how are we feeling about the untitled?
I still like Wacky Line.
So like Wacky
Still
Line?
like that better.
All right. We're going to go. Isabel, I'm not going to sure if this is a real one, but we'll put it out there. The part where we answer questions. What are we doing? What are we doing here? MPH Dog 4 Washington football segment.
No, that's good.
Pretty good. All right, scroll. The picture.
Haven is the next one.
Wackier Line. What was that?
I thought I missed Pedrick's one. Sorry.
Yeah, Wackier Line doesn't do a lot for me. Who am I? All right, scrolling.
Haven, I think, is the next one.
Haven says insane inquiries, which does feel factually correct, if nothing else. Eamon with a good one. The violent parlor room. It tickles me a little bit.
I like that one. Here's my suggestion. Q&AR.
It feels like we set you up for that. People are gonna think.
I'm gonna need to sleep on that one, but I do love it.
I do love it.
I do not need to sleep on it. It has my vote. It has my support.
You know what? Tim is gonna get to this point. He's gonna tell us if we have his blessing for that.
And Quentin will never know it exists.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
So that's a win-win.
All right. But Tim could let us know. Yep, good to go. We'll look forward to the message. Oh my God. No, that's good. All right. We do have 2 questions, it looks like. Maybe 3 if I'm reading this correctly. Great. Let's start with Marilyn. What way do you like your eggs done?
This is a good question.
Dan, what's your answer?
My answer is over easy, but I got like a sous vide machine for Christmas, so I did make a bunch of poached eggs.
Do you love a poached egg?
So those are my 2 answers.
I've never had a poached egg.
Ooh, boy.
They're good.
Yeah. Velvety.
That texture didn't resonate with me, let me tell you. Pat.
I like a scrambled egg.
Yeah, I'm an over easy guy myself. Chris?
I don't. I'll eat an egg any way you give it to me. I would say I'm least likely to eat a hard boiled. And most likely to eat scrambled. I feel like I make scrambled more than anything else. But I love a fried egg. Love a poached egg. Soft boiled I would prefer over hard boiled, but I mean, I'll eat an egg, man.
You just like an egg.
I just like an egg.
I like that. I like that.
They're cheap.
They used to be. Anyway, MPH Dog 4. How do you like your toast? This question confounds me immediately. What ways are there to do toast?
I took it as what do you put on your toast?
And like ideal bread situation.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Chris, can you start us off? Maybe like I'll give it to Pat afterwards. Lead me in the path.
Usually, just I'm eating at a diner and I'm ordering toast. I'm getting like sourdough toast, just with butter on it. Maybe if I'm feeling fancy, put a little jam. But I just like a buttered toast. I don't like it too burnt. But yeah, sourdough is probably what I'm going for when given toast options.
Yeah, heck yeah. Pat.
So I live right near a very good bakery, and more importantly, a very affordable bakery. And they do those like peasant loaves of bread. So I like getting slices from that, and just it's basically just white bread. It's just big and shaped weird. Um, but that with some butter is how I like to do toast.
Dan? Dan, are you here?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Now
yes.
Oh, I was saying I'm a bit of a stereotype. I like avocado toast. Give me some bacon, some avocado, and egg, and I'm very happy.
Dan, I would not have expected this from you. Just so you know.
I get. Oh, but I will say, don't get it at Tim Hortons, or if you do, tell them take it easy with the everything bagel seasoning. They go fucking nuts.
I like a crustier bread, and butter and jam together is the ideal scenario. But frankly, most of the time, like if I'm eating toast at home, it's gonna be peanut butter. Just because if I have toast at home, I'm trying to like get some substance in my stomach.
If I'm doing something simple, it's apple butter. If I'm just throwing something quick on the toast at home, that's what I go for.
All right, you got your pinky up layer. You're doing that.
I don't think
Fancy
apple butter
schmancy, man.
is apple butter fancy. I get it from jars from people I know.
Are they fancy people?
No,
It sounds fancy.
Okay. Well,
I don't think people that can stuff are fancy. I think they have too much time in their hands.
I mean, depends on the can, I think.
All right. I think last question from Haven. Favorite bloody wrestling match? Covers a lot of ground. And it feels like
it's good timing with Phil Schneider bringing back the Way the Blade podcast.
Well, hopefully he will make a lot of time to discuss my favorite bloody wrestling match ever, which is Bill Alfonso versus Beulah McGillicuddy.
I think that's in the first book.
Well, yeah, but he should do like a whole podcast series.
Fair enough. Oh, series.
Yeah, like this needs like 8 hours minimum.
Yeah, got a different guest on every time. Got Tony Khan to talk about that match. Got
the oral history of Beulah versus Fonzie. But I've talked about it on the show before. It is one of my favorite matches of all time. It's probably my favorite match of the entire 1990s between two non-wrestlers Fonzie opens up his head, and it's a miracle his brain didn't fall out, but certainly most of his blood did. And it is just an all-time. For me, it is the hoot to end all hoots.
Dan.
It is a very heavy question. I go back to just two matches I talk about a lot. I mean, Jay versus Mark in a parking lot has blood, but like when I think of bloody wrestling match, I probably think go to my tried and true Trauma 1 versus Candice Lucas. I love that match, and it's gory and beautiful.
Sure. Oh yeah. Chris.
Favorite bloody match is CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre from this last year. It brought blood back to WWE and created aura and cinema out of it.
When you said CM Punk, I was like, where are we going?
I love when you take us on a journey, Chris. I really appreciate it. As for my match, I would do Wagner versus Park from 2013.
It's a good match.
It's a good match.
Pretty good match. Pretty good match, folks. I think you should watch it. That's the question for TBD.
Sure.
Strongly encouraging Q&AR.
Q&AR.
Q&AR. All right, then that's a wrap. That's a show. That's where we're at. Go check out violentpeople.co. Go leave us a 5-star review if you've enjoyed this 5-star podcast right here on your podcast app of choice. And if there's an ability to leave an actual review, that goes a long way.